Okay, so wanting to start in a thoracic back bend today. So a couple of options to do that. If you do have a couple of blocks or some books with you, and you know that you're not super tight in your upper back, and you can try this and see how it feels. And if it's not working, I'm going to give you a second option as well. So you're going to have the blocks set up like so. You're going to want to go on the low side, maybe the medium side, definitely not tall here. You're going to lay, you got to get it situated, lay back over this block. So it's kind of hitting the bottom of your bra strap, the bottom of those shoulder blades. And then you're going to take this block and place it under your head. See, there's going to be a gentle tuck of your chin here. So you're going to play with the height that feels best. And then you're going to make a choice. Does it feel better to keep knees bent, knocking in towards each other? Do you want to extend your legs? So as you can see, we're getting this big heart opener, and you're just letting those shoulder blades release over the mat. So the other option, if that's feeling too intense today, is to either roll up your mat, or if you have your blanket, you're gonna do the quarter fold and then turn it into a little yoga blanket burrito. And then you'll do the same thing. So not quite as intense for some of us as those blocks can be. So your shoulder blades are pressing down into the mat. You can make cactus arms in either variation, whether you're on the blanket or the blocks. And then again, just seeing what feels best with your legs here. Close your eyes if you haven't already. And you're starting to key into your breath right away. And to start out, it always feels good to take an inhale or two, and then exhale, sigh the breath out. Sigh the day out, the to-do list, all of the stuff that might be causing any stress, any agitation. See if you can let it go for the next little bit. And when you've done that a few times, and you feel ready to start to dip into your ujjayi breath, you're going to move in that direction. So that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose, beginning to create that soft rush of air in the back of your throat. And you don't need to overdo that breath, but there is a sound to it. There is some effort to it. Starting out, it can take a minute to get that rhythm. So maybe you're observing if the inhale feels easier in your body, the exhale feels easier, and then you're trying to create a sense of symmetry between the two. Perhaps counting to help you establish that. So inhaling to 5 or 6 or 7, maybe less, maybe more. Exhaling to that same number. And as we're here, as we're breathing, I want you to send your exhale to that upper body, to the shoulders, to the thoracic. Imagine that there's weights on the backs of your shoulders, just pressing you down into the earth. So you might, if you're in the block configuration, it's like they're going to reach towards the floor. Of course, if you're on the blanket, your shoulder blades are pressing down. And then as you feel that anchored feeling in the backs of your shoulders, imagine that there is a string attached to your sternum and somebody is gently pulling up on it. So you might not actually physically get any more movement, but maybe you can, especially on your inhale. You inhale, feel that lift, like your little puppet being pulled up. And then check in, make sure you're not gripping or holding anywhere in your body that you don't need to. So we do that without even being aware of it. Tends to happen in the shoulders, the neck. can happen in the inner thigh, the groin area. So work in the places that you need to. Stop working in the places that you don't need to. And drop into this place of stillness here. Another moment or two. Anytime your attention wanders, come back to your breath. It's going to happen. Some days we surprise ourselves and we notice that we're able to get into this quiet place right away. So if that's where you're at today, soak that up. It's such a good feeling. And you can keep your eyes closed here. As you inhale, start to extend your arms to straight. So reaching through your fingertips, palms are facing together. And then you're going to interlace your fingers, press your palms to face behind you. And you're just pressing into the center of the back of your head, so not rolling side to side in the neck here in this configuration. And then let's all take our legs straight. Point your toes up towards the ceiling to start. As you come into this configuration, feel the shoulder blades release down your back. Get a little more lift of that sternum up towards the ceiling. Might be feeling a nice stretch in your fingers here as well. And then let's just point the toes for a couple of breaths. Deep inhale. As you exhale, release your hands by your side. So if you were laying over a blanket, you're going to roll to your right side. You just come into the fetal position. You're welcome to do that if you're on the blocks as well. If you want to use a little core and it feels okay, you can press into your forearms and then your palms and come up. And you're going to feel that in the back a little bit. So we're going to find a little cat-cow action, a little modified today though. So I want everybody to sit back on your heels. And if this feels really intense in the knees, you could slide a blanket beneath the knees just to give yourself a little more support. And then hands on thighs. And we're going to just do our cat-cow here. But I really want you to emphasize that idea of the sternum lifting up towards the spine, and your chin releases down. So you exhale, inhale, shoulder heads press back. Exhale, round in. Continuing like this, you're moving with your breath. You're not too fast, you're not too slow, you're just right. You're finding that little Goldilocks spot. Soaking up that sound of your breath. And just enjoying how good it feels to introduce this movement into the spine. Couple more rounds. Good. As you inhale, come back to neutral spine, and then you're going to rock forward into your tabletop position. And we're going to come into a shoulder stretch here. If you know that you're tight, have a block or a blanket. So tighten shoulders and neck. From your tabletop root down into that right palm, your fingers are spreading. We're going to slide this left arm behind that right wrist. So you're on the shoulder, you're on the ear, or a block or a blanket. So props, wonderful. They just bring the floor a little closer to us, so they make these poses a little more approachable sometimes, especially if we're tight in certain areas. We have old injuries lingering in the body. As you're here, there's a little bit of twist. So you're wrapping those left ribs up towards the ceiling. Can you find a little of that lift of the sternum even here? You are welcome to extend that right arm up if it feels okay. Lean it back. Hold on to that feeling of pressing shoulder head back. Spin your palm to face behind you, external rotation, and then bend the elbow. So you grab a piece of shirt. You might be able to get your fingertips to the inside of that left thigh. Both are good. You get a little leverage to open up that shoulder a little more, stretch out the neck. Are you breathing? So this can be quite intense. Use the breath to help you be in the discomfort of the pose. And then we inhale, stretch the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, unwind. Before we come to the second side, take a couple rounds of cat-cow in this more classic configuration in our tabletop. Really emphasizing that idea of letting the neck go as you exhale, the back of the neck lengthen and release. And then we're going to take that shoulder stretch to the second side. So as you inhale, come back to a neutral spine, rooting down into your palms, really press into that left hand. And I'm going to show just how it looks from the back here. So threading that right arm behind the left wrist, coming onto your right ear, right cheek, maybe resting that head on a blanket or a block. You're gonna feel a stretch in the outer arm. You're gonna feel a stretch, a lengthening in the neck. And this looks simple enough, but this pose is actually quite intense for many of us. I remember the first time I did it, not a fan. Inhale, reach that left arm up, lean it back. So we're trying to get that openness across the heart, the chest. Spin your left palm to face behind you. Bend your elbow, and then you grab a piece of shirt. You might be able to hook those fingers, left fingers into right thigh. Just hold on to something so that you can get a little help pulling that left shoulder head back. And then find that breath, that inhale through the nose, that exhale through the nose. As you inhale, start to release. If you took that variation, reach up through those left fingertips. As you exhale, unwind. Coming to that tabletop, taking a few rounds of your cat-cow. So inhaling, arching. Exhaling, rounding in. Couple more. Good. Inhale, come back to neutral spine. Walk your fingers forward a couple of inches. So spreading, pressing evenly. It feels awkward, but it helps to support, strengthen, lengthen the wrist. Curl your toes under. Shift your hips up, and let's keep a nice bend in the knees. Be on our tippy toes here. Maybe even bounce the knees a little bit. Let the ears release between the biceps. You're just gazing between your feet, and then stretch the sit bones up towards the ceiling so you get all of this length through the sides of your waist, through your spine here. A little easier with that nice bend in the knees. Stay on those left toes. Ooh, big crack.
Melt that left heel back. Some beautiful stretch in the back of the leg. Come up to toes. And of course, in yoga, beautiful is always relative. It kind of depends on what's going on in your body, how you're built. How is this side different? Back up to tippy toes on both feet. Stretch sit bones. Let's start to straighten the knees a little bit. They might not go all the way to straight. Maybe even a little micro bend. Really firm the muscles above the knee. And then start to melt the heels slowly back. They probably won't make it to the floor. That's fine. Are you gripping your toes? Can you press more into the ball of the big toe, ball of the little toe? And then the toes might even lift up off the mat. And then from here, we start to walk our hands back to meet our feet. Inhale, lengthen, lift of your sternum, and hands on shins or thighs is really nice in this Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhaling, arching. Exhaling, folding in. Couple more. Inhale, arch, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. One more, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. It's like a standing cobra pose. As you exhale, you fold in. Root down into your feet. Reach out wide. So a reverse swan dive up to your mountain pose, Tadasana. Let's hold here a couple of breaths. Let your tailbone release down to the mat as your sternum stretches up towards the ceiling. Fingers are spread, so like little jazz hands. And then maybe start to bring your gaze up. Feel the weight evenly distributed in your feet as you do that. And then let's take a little cactus pose and shine the sternum up towards the ceiling. So it's that feeling that we had laying over the blanket or the block. Good. Exhale, arms back up. Let's do that a few times. Inhale into that cactus shape. Inhale up. Exhale, press the shoulder heads back. Release your tailbone down. Inhale up. And then this time as you exhale, release your arms by your side. Ooh, that feels good. Palms come together at your heart. Close your eyes. Take a moment here. Key into that rhythm of your Ujjayi breath again. Find that beautiful inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Good, and we begin to flow here. So as you exhale, release your hands by your side. Inhale, stretch up. As you exhale, dive in, let your neck release down. Inhale, shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other, shoulder heads lift as we come into this Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch up, take up space. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Ooh, feels so good already. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, fold in. Feel all of the space that you're creating in your body already. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Good, inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. A few more, maybe closing your eyes, inhaling, reaching. Toes are nice and light. Gravity is keeping you on the mat. You're folding as you exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Good, exhale, fold. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press to rise. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We have one more. Inhaling, reaching. And you're just moving with your breath here. Eyes might be closed. Looking beautiful, Pamela. Inhale, lengthen. Exhaling, folding. Okay, just pausing here for a moment. Eyes closed, palms together at your heart, directing your tailbone down, stretching your sternum up. It's like you're being pulled apart. Good. Blink your eyes open, release your hands down, grab a strap. If you don't have a strap, you could grab a towel, a belt, a scarf, something kind of long. And if you don't have one, you're just going to pretend that you do. We'll make it work. Okay, so we're going to do our shoulder humblers here. So you're going to want to go pretty wide on the strap. So as we inhale, we lift up. And this is the hard part. This is where you might need to sneak your hands out a little further. As you exhale, lifting sternum up towards the ceiling. Big stretch on the shoulders. I'm sorry. Inhaling back up. Exhale, release down. So as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're staying in your really nice Tadasana, your mountain pose. So you're not puffing the ribs out. You're not overarching in the lower back. Directing that tailbone to the earth as you press into the four corners of the feet and feel the arches start to lift. So we're going to do a few more rounds of this so Megan can catch up. As you warm up this shoulder girdle, you might find that you can sneak the hands in like a centimeter more. You can play with that and see. This is a great little stretch to do every day, dare I say, especially if you are tighter in the shoulders than the neck. And most of us are. We carry a lot of tension and stress there. The way we sit at our computers, the way we drive, there's a lot of rounding, the upper back. This is like a nice little antidote to that. A couple more, stick with it. Make sure you're breathing. So interesting how we start to hold the breath when things are uncomfortable or challenging. So let's say do one more full round. So you're gonna end with the strap back in front of you. Very good. And when you're done, you can just move the strap off to the side. Have a couple of blocks at the top of your mat, just in case. We're going to move into a few full sun salutes here just to build a little more heat in the body, and we'll warm up this first one. All right, so in your nice Tadasana, standing tall, maybe a little taller already. Feel that lift of the sternum. Inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Neck releases down. Inhale, lengthen forward. So keep looking forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms. Right foot back, then left. So feel shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. And then the tips of those shoulder blades are releasing towards your tailbone. Your tailbone is releasing towards your heels. You're still breathing. Legs, use them a little more than you think you can. So you're feeling it in your arms. You're feeling it in the belly, the sides of the waist. Shift way forward here. You have the option to come to your knees. I'm going to do that variation. Otherwise, you lower chaturanga. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Pull the belly in. Keep the arms squeezing in the shoulders, shoulder heads lifting. And then exhale, lower down. So interlace fingers at the small of your back, just rest on your forehead. You're lengthening back through all 10 toes. So tops of the feet pressing into the mat. You're rolling slightly to the outer edge of the foot. That's going to start to spin these inner thighs up towards the ceiling. It's going to give you length in that lower back. All right, as you inhale, roll on up, shoulder heads lift. Palms might be squeezing in towards each other. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Couple more, inhaling up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Change the interlacing of your fingers so the opposite index and thumb come on top. Inhale, extend. Exhale, lower down. Inhaling up, shoulder heads lift. Exhale, lower as you roll to the outer edges of your feet. So many little things to think about. And you don't need to feel like you need to hit them all. You can just pick one to focus on. All right, so we're holding here. Lengthening through the back of the neck. And then take your arms out wide. Oh, feel that sigh of relief. Bend your elbows, fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. See if you can find that idea of your sternum lifting up a little more. And then you are welcome to stay here. It's a good place to be. If you're ready for an up dog, hands drag back, wrists underneath your elbows. Inhale into the tops of your feet. Press into your hands so arms come to straight. Legs really active here. Your shins, your knees, your thighs are lifting up off the mat. If that's not happening in your body, go ahead and lower back down to your low cobra. You'll get here one day. Or not, and that's fine too. Okay, so if you are in your upward dog, you can roll over your toes, and maybe if you want to play with it today, doing both at the same time. So it's almost like there's this momentum that happens. So you kind of drag forward, get this tractioning of the spine. Took me forever to get that. If you're in your low cobra, you press to your tabletop and then downward dog. Oh, here we are again. Few breaths. Without looking, spread the fingers, press evenly. Gazing between your feet, your eyes might be closed. Sometimes that just automatically happens as we come back to this pose. As you inhale, bending a little bit in the knees, coming to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, walk forward, a step right then left, maybe hop through. All good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart, putting it all together, starting to flow again. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, fold in. I dare you to smile while you're doing these. You might be already. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, keep gazing forward. Plant palms, fingers spread, left back, then right. Same exhale, lower chaturanga. You can hover or come all the way down. Of course, you can modify that by being on your knees. I did that for years. As you exhale, downward facing dog. So there's something very aspirational about yoga and about the poses and how they look. And we can get really attached to the idea that they need to be perfect and Instagram worthy. And for most of us, our bodies just don't go into those shapes. So give yourself a break and be happy with where you are. Just know that little improvements are happening every time you get on your mat. As you inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes, peek where you're going. End of your exhale, you can step left foot forward, then right. You can walk forward, hop forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press to rise. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. Utthita Hastasana into Dasana, extended mountain pose. As you exhale, fold in, keep all of that length. Inhale, lift up sternum, gaze forward. Then knees plant, palms are right foot back, then left. Your Chaturanga Vinyasa, whatever that looks like. We can mix and match these. Some days we want more, some days we want less. If you can start to decipher that, it means you're getting good at this stuff. Getting good at noticing the sensations in your body and paying attention. Dipping into that rhythm of your breath again if you've lost it. As you inhale, bend in the knees, come to tippy toes. End of exhale, walk, step, or hop through. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We have one more. We're going to meet back in downward dog. You can step back with your left leg. I'm not going to cue you. Just get inside your body, move with your breath. Let this feel good. And taking a moment or two here in your downward dog. Making any little adjustments that you need to, and then just finding that place of stillness. And then firm up the arms. So pressing into the inner edge of the hand helps to find that inner arm wrapping towards the outer arm, feeling. So mound of the big, or mound of the thumb, mound of the index finger really pressing down. It's like they're connected to that inner arm, inner upper arm. All right, so from here, we're going to inhale, lift our right leg up. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, gaze slightly forward. Couple like that, inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, pull your belly in and up. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, and then see if you can sneak that foot through. You might have to pick it up and move it, lower onto your left knee. And this is where blocks can be really lovely. So slide that left knee back as much as you need to. You can also pad that knee up. This can be really intense on that kneecap, and you don't want to be right on the kneecap. You're kind of sliding back a little bit, but melting that left hip down, so getting into that hip flexor. And let's say if you are on blocks, come a little higher and maybe scoot them back. And if you're not, you can just upright yourself and your fingers can dangle. Roll shoulder heads back, squeeze the shoulder blades in towards each other. Find the belly, feel this lift of the sternum. Good, and then let's take our arms and interlace them behind us. So like we did in that Shalabhasana. And then upright yourself a little bit. So you're coming out of this. Feel those shoulders land over the hips. And then reach the hands back or the arms back any amount. Palms may or may not be pressing. If this is really hard in your body, to keep that interlacing, you hold onto a strap, you work your hands in as much as feels good. Keep a little tuck of your chin. But feel that sternum lift. And then maybe begin to bring your gaze up. So shoulder blades really pinching in towards each other. And then let it go. Let's do our low cobra here. So reaching those arms up is going to feel really nice. You have the option to press palms, gaze up. As you exhale, hands come to the mat. And then your call. You simply step back
to your downward facing dog. You could step to plank and then down dog. You could step to plank and take a chaturanga vinyasa if you'd like. Options, options galore. Inhale, left leg lifts. Feel the belly pull in. Exhale, knee to nose, look slightly forward. Make sure those hips aren't too high. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose, pull belly button towards the spine, stretching back on the inhale. And then exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Look where you're going, stay here. Like a ninja. Step through, might be a really noisy ninja. So just taking a few breaths, melting in here. So you're feeling that big, big stretch on that right hip flexor, which is, I dare to say, a pretty tight area for all of us, even flexible people. You're observing how this side feels different in your body, if it feels different. And then we're gonna upright ourselves a little bit here. So we're gonna pull the hips back over that right knee. So blocks can be nice. You can also just have your hands released. And then just notice how you're still getting that hip flexor stretch. It's just kind of shifted places a little bit. So belly's pulling in, you're getting that support. You might need to slide that front foot back. And then we're gonna interlace the opposite way. So just reach back the normal way and see how things are feeling. And then switch the cross. And that's probably where you need to be. And if you end up doing two sides with the same cross, the world will stop for like a split second, and then it'll just continue spinning again. So I usually remember how to cross. I always take the knee that is in front, I always put that index in front because it's easy to like not pay attention to that and miss it. Okay, so shoulder blades, squeeze them in as you lift your sternum up. Keep your belly engaged. Good, and then inhale. Reach arms out and up. Low crescent, maybe even sink in a little deeper. Press palms if it feels okay. And then as you exhale, hands press down. And then again, you can simply press palms, step back to your downward facing dog. You could step to your plank pose. That's fun to practice that, stepping back, keeping the legs low. It's pretty sad when that's my idea of fun in quarantine. You gotta do what you can do in this world. All right, deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Quick little child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Also, if you wanted to do a child's pose with knees together, you're welcome to do that too, and then lay back. And then you might even take your hands back and grab your heels. So just another little variation of Balasana child's pose. If you're doing this variation, you're gonna notice how the shoulders release down a little bit. So you do get a little rounding. It's like that cat sensation. So maybe try to exaggerate that a little bit. You're allowing your breath to slow down here. Trying to get that heartbeat to slow down a bit. Find a little twist. So if you are in Balasana with your hands on your heels, stretch them forward.
And then walk hands off to the right. So laying belly out over that right thigh, any amount. You can do downward dog facing hands here. So this is going to help you to get into the twist a little more. So wrapping those left ribs down. And your neck might be lifted up off the mat here. That's absolutely fine. So this is a more active version of child's pose. Start to walk back to center. And then off to the left. Right ribs, release down, fingers spreading, pressing into palms. That's going to help you to find a little leverage so you can twist in. And even here, can you find that sense of lift in the sternum, shoulder blades squeezing in towards each other? Good. Start to walk back to center. And then slowly roll up. So if you have a block or a book handy, I want you to take that to the top of your mat, low level. And we're going to come into headstand interlacing with our fingers. We're not going to actually come into headstand today. So if I just gave anybody a heart attack, breathe easy, unless you want to. So headstand interlacing is we're interlacing our fingers. And then you can see how this pinky side of my hand, it's not even. I'm going to slide it under so that as I bring my palms together, I have a nice flat surface. All right. So you're going to take your knuckles. I don't recommend walking on your knees on a hardwood floor. Feels very unpleasant. Definitely don't do that at BI on the cement floor. All right. So knuckles come up to the edge of the block. It's like you're at a wall. Shoulders are, or elbows rather, are underneath your shoulders. So what's going to happen? We're going to be coming into a dolphin pose here with our Shirshasana headstand hands. Elbows love to go wide. So I want you to just physically look and see that your shoulders are over your elbows here. So feel, root down into the forearms. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Find your belly so you can just see how the curve came out of my back. And then we're going to press into our forearms, start to lift our hips up towards the ceiling. You might walk your feet in a tiny amount, and then just take a breath or two here, gazing between your feet. Your head is lifted up off the mat. And then, so this is a lot of pressure in the arms and shoulders. We want the weight to go there, but feel those shoulder blades release towards your spine. So they're kind of releasing up towards your sit bones. And then I want you to start to bring your gaze forward. What I'm about to do to you is really mean. You're going to do the best you can, or you're just going to not do it because I can't see you anyway. All right, so little co-work. So you're going to look forward at your block. You're going to pretend that you're a little deer and your block is a lake, and you're going to go take a sip of water. Hit your chin, maybe. Pull back. 2 more. Shift forward, keeping a lot of pressure into those forearms. 1 more. Inhale, press up. O, M, G. Child's pose again. Oh, a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out, let it go. This is called tricky core work and shoulder work. Okay, so from here, let's just come into a supported back bend bridge pose with our block or a blanket or some books. So come on out of that child's pose, roll onto your back. So bridge pose is more of a lumbar back bend, but we've created all of this openness in our chest and our heart in this thoracic area, the sternum. So I really want you to focus more on that today. So more pressure down into the shoulders. And maybe that might mean you go a little lower on the block than you usually do. So starting out with arms by side, feet hip distance apart, you're pressing evenly, the arches engage. What tends to happen is we can bring the heels too close. That's a lot of pressure on the knees as we come up. The other thing is that we turn toes out here. So you might even look down and kind of see that they're parallel with the edges of the mat. And then the other thing is that we start to roll to the outer edges of the feet. So I want you to keep that idea of Tadasana in your feet here. All right, here we go. As we inhale, press on up, grab your block, slide it underneath the sacrum. So sacrum is the flat part of your back at the bottom of your tailbone. So we don't want to get this in the lumbar. That's really uncomfortable. And then roll those shoulders underneath. You could interlace fingers here if the block isn't in the way. And if that helps you, you could also grab the outer edges of the mat to help you make that adjustment. And then close your eyes here. So you start to shift gears, wind down. So begin to stretch the breath out. You can even let go of the Ujjayi breath at this point. You're still inhaling and exhaling through your nose. It just doesn't have that heated quality of the Ujjayi breath. And then maybe see if you can press into the shoulders a little more, lift the sternum a little higher. In fact, to help us find that, let's actually all bend our elbows. So wrists over elbows like your little robot. You can do that if you want, arms back and forth. Then come back to center. Press down into the elbows, that upper arm, and then squeeze the elbows in towards each other. As you're keeping this lift, can you redirect your tailbone towards your heels a little more? So I started getting a little overarchy in my lumbar. And then go ahead and release your arms by your side. But as you do that, hold on to that feeling that you've just created in the upper body. And then take a few good breaths here, maybe more than a few. So this is such a beautiful, spacious pose in the rib cage. So it's perfect for feeling the breath, the expansion of the rib cage as we inhale and fill up. And then how everything contracts in as you empty out of air. Nice, steep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips up off the block. And then go ahead and lower down. So let's walk our feet as wide as the mat. We're going to release out the spine here after that back bend. Let's take our arms wide. And then you're just going to windshield wiper your legs. So both knees fall to the right and then to the left. Gaze can be straight up, or you can coordinate this so that you're looking out over opposite hand from the direction that the knees are falling. You're inhaling up, exhaling, release again. And then the next time your knees are off to the right, you're going to leave them there. And it's all right if that left sit bone is lifting up off the mat a little bit. You can stay here like this. If this feels like a nice twist, you might take right ankle above left knee. So that just applies a little pressure. You might get a little more stretch through the front of the leg, the hip flexor on that left side. Good. If you took that ankle cross, just release the foot. So feet still wide here as your knees fall off to the left. Maybe gazing out of your right fingertips. Just stay here like this. You could take left ankle above right knee. So even though hip plates aren't pressing down into the mat underneath you evenly, shoulder blades should both be pretty heavy here. So if that's not happening, if one's a little higher, you could always slide a block or a blanket underneath there. All right, so uncross that ankle. If you took that variation, come up with your legs, and then let's gently squeeze in. Just rock a little bit from side to side. Extend your tailbone forward. And let's come into our happy baby here. So knees come out wide, arms come to the inside, and then grab the outer edges of your feet if you can. Then start to extend legs and pull down. If that's not in the cards, pulling down on your thighs is the pose as well. So they're both good options. So just trying to bring those thighs closer to your belly any amount. And this is a nice little hip stretch. We haven't done any hip stuff today. We'll have to hit the hips on Thursday. All right, so from here, start to point your feet. So you're pointing and you're flexing, and then you're gonna bring the soles of your feet in together. So a little reclining Baddha Konasana. And we're all gonna have a different place where we can go here. Just as seated, this pose is really intense. Big, big groin stretch. So your diamond might be pretty wide. If you're a little tighter, you might start to bring those heels closer to your belly. Have you started to hold your breath? Keep it moving. And then if it feels okay, maybe you start to press your knees to face forward. And you notice how that shifts how things are feeling in your body, how it makes the stretch different. So even though we do these poses over and over again, there's always something new to discover about them. As we get better at this, we get better at making those little micro movements. It's noticing muscle engagement that maybe we couldn't prior. All right, so let the knees come back in towards your chest a little bit. And then we're gonna hook our big toes here with our middle and index finger. And then let's just find a little happy baby variation like this. And again, if that's not happening, hands on thighs is the pose. So be good with where you're at. We're never trying to, we wanna challenge ourselves and play with the edge a little bit, but we don't want to cross it. We want to be doing this for a lot of years to come. And by a lot of years to come, I mean decades. Okay, so you could stay here like this. Maybe you start to bring your legs out wide to straight. So Upavista, we usually do this seated. How does it feel different in this configuration? In some ways, it's a little more manageable. And because we have the floor underneath us, we can keep our spine long. Legs go as wide as they go. If you wanted to take your legs wide, but the toes aren't in the cards, hands on thighs. Feel the shoulder blades press here. Find that final lifting of the sternum. I shouldn't say that because we can find that in our Shavasana as well. Couple more good breaths here. Send the exhale to all of the spots that are tight. It's probably that inner thigh, groin. Good, and then start to bend knees here. Ooh, draw them into your chest. Give yourself a hug and then curl nose up to knee to knees. Oh, and then exhale the air out. You're going to start to make your way into your Shavasana. So classic is fine. You could have knees bent here. That's especially good if there's any pressure in your lower back. And then if you did take that long roll variation, sometimes this can be a really nice supported Shavasana. So a really great way to end. And then you can just let those shoulder blades drape over that roll up. Take a deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then you soak up these final quiet moments. You don't have to worry about anything just yet. You just pay attention to how good you're feeling, to the space that you've created in your body, the depth of your breath. As you inhale, start to bring a little movement back to your body. And then exhale, stretch arms up overhead. Maybe point and flex toes. And then releasing your arms by your side, bend knees if they're extended, and then just roll on to one side or the other, just finding that fetal position for a moment. And then as you feel ready, you're gonna press into your hands, come up to a comfortable seat, and lead with your heart, with your sternum as you come up. Feel that gentle squeezing of the shoulder blades in towards each other. And you're checking in with your body, you're noticing how you feel. So we did a lot of physical opening of the thoracic today, this lift of the heart, so in a very physical sense. But maybe explore as you move into the rest of the day, what does it mean to metaphorically have your heart open? What would it be like to move into the world with that idea in mind? Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and working hard, for making the effort. Bring your palms together at your forehead. Bow your head with a smile. Lovely work today. Thank you.